I've got some really good news for you today. I've got the cure for the turnover in your company. I've got the cure for people in your lives that are deciding to quit at fill in the blank. I've got the cure tonight for, I got the secret sauce for you that will help in your area of the world, your sphere of influence, your connections, your walk of life, even within yourself. I got the cure. And we're going to address this turnover issue of why people leave, why they leave companies, why they leave relationships, why they leave their place in and purpose in the world. Here on this episode of Last in Line Podcast.
Make your escape.
Welcome to Last in Line Podcast, where we are highlighting, showcasing, and spotlighting great leaders of faith who have overcome adversity, cultivated resilience, and served others in a significant capacity. So settle in and be encouraged by this episode of Last in Line Podcast. Well, all right. Welcome back to Last in Line Podcast. I'm glad you are here. We got a good one for you tonight. Guess what? If you're in leadership at your job or you're a manager or supervisor, I've got the secret sauce for you today on employee retention. We all know that's a thing. It may be more severe and significant for some than others, but it is a thing. Obviously, we're in the age of the Great Resignation due to COVID. People are finding out they can sustain an income from home. Jobs are becoming home-based and remote now. Some are hybrid roles. But I think we're seeing the workforce now start to reconsider whether or not work really is for them. That's hard to even say out loud, but I saw a report here, and like the Harvard Business Review talks about there's a forecast of 50 to 70% higher where companies will experience turnover, which looking through here, some Gartner report is what it's called that they're getting this information from, found that 65% of employees are now reconsidering the role of work in their lives. And only 1 out of 3 might reconsider not considering work in their lives if there were internal opportunities, I guess, where they currently are. So that sort of leads into my approach to this conversation. And I have 4 areas where I think 4 reasons for turnover and employee attrition. I think these are translatable for the last 2 or 3 decades. I don't attribute these to just COVID. This article talks about some solutions too, but I'm not taking my podcast for today out of this article. I just was kind of skimming through here. And solution 1, focus career conversations on progression, not promotion. Solution 2, let's see, what do they have? Make career experiments easy. I don't know what that means. I haven't given any thought to these. I'm just literally scrolling the article on my phone as I'm talking to you, and it just came across this. So this is just off the cuff. Solution 3, measure managers on people potential, not team performance. Okay, so I don't know. Take those for what it's worth. There's a few others, Harvard Business Review, .org, and you'll see the article is called... what is it called? It's time to reimagine employee retention. So not real sure why I even thought to talk about this tonight. I guess I'm thinking about how there is parallel application from the business world to just our everyday lives, our personal lives, our relationships, our spiritual life, our physical body training and staying in shape lives. I mean, I think this translates. So I've got 4 reasons that I think turnover is a big deal. Aside from, I'll just qualify everything here and just say, aside from the obvious that people have gotten very apathetic. They've gotten even more lazy than we ever have been. They've gotten dependent and reliant on government assistance, which obviously has enabled them to reconsider, finger quotes, work, the involvement of work in their lives. That is just funny to me that that's a thing. Generations, 2 or 3 generations behind us would be laughing and a lot of rolling over in their graves right now. But this is reality for us now, people. So we have a generation, that's, I don't know, behind however you want to look at it, in front of us, the younger generation that we're raising up to carry the torch. We have a responsibility to maybe reshape what has been broken and distorted by culture now. So it's our job to reshape what a work ethic looks like, what responsibilities and commitment and ownership look like. So I have for you, I've got some ways here that I think we can combat. If you're a leader in corporate America, you can guard against some of this. I think people quit a lot of other things besides jobs. And I think maybe this will work in our relationships. If people are pulling the ripcord on, their marriages prematurely now, divorce rates are what they are. I'm sure highest they've ever been. And that's another stat for another day. But here we go. We're going to rock and roll here. The 4 reasons for turnover, in my opinion, and I might even give you some ways to guard against this and some solutions to these. So the first one I got 4 V's for you tonight. I've got voice is number 1. People leave companies because they feel like they have no voice. They have no say. No one is asking their input. No one necessarily is viewing what they have to say as being a worthy contribution to the direction of the organization. A lot of leaders just kind of put it out there in an email and say, hey, we want to hear what you have to say. We want your thoughts on this. And they get all these and they compile them, and then they go a different direction. They go their own direction, but they check a box as to, we asked people, right? We had no intention of ever taking what their suggestions, but we asked. So we want you to feel like you have a voice, but really the actions behind that don't align with our words. So people leave companies when they feel like their voice is falling on deaf ears, or they're not encouraged to have a voice, or they're not necessarily trusted to be autonomous and to maybe even be given some leadership role or responsibility. They need to feel like there's a voice that they have, a contribution in the vision, in the direction, and not everybody's going to have that, right? Not across the board, top to bottom, are we going to have all employees have a voice in where the company goes or what we decide the decisions we decide to make. That's not real life, but I will say, if you're in a situation, a department or a division of a company, or you run a sales team and people are brainstorming, you have a weekly meeting or a monthly meeting or a conference call, you must not be the only voice in the room. You must not be the only one with ideas that you're contributing. You must not be in a didactic situation where you are just standing at a podium, figuratively or literally. We need participation. We need contribution. People want that. They want to feel like that. And they also want to feel like their words matter enough to possibly find their way into the SOP for that division, or for the initiative and the goal of that particular month or quarter. They want to feel like they had some say in what we created. And why not? I don't understand what the drawback is to that, because letting people have a voice, assuming it's respectable, intelligent, selfless and coming from a visionary's heart of actually wanting the good for the organization. If that's what it is, then why wouldn't we take these ideas? Why wouldn't we put them down and find a way to implement those into tactical application of the strategy that we have? Why not? Because I'm betting that people will be more autonomous. They won't need babysitting. They will be probably more reliable when they are coming to work. You might actually be able to count on them to lead in some way. And the worst thing that can happen is maybe you try something and it didn't work for that season, but maybe it's not a bad idea, and we put a pin in that, right? We put it on the whiteboard in the think tank, and then we let it marinate, and then maybe it comes out another time. But either way, you've got an employee there that feels like they've got skin in the game because they had a voice. So that's number one. Number two, people leave companies because they feel like they're not valued. And the first one kind of bleeds into the second one, of course. If they don't feel like they have a voice, then they're just feeling like robots, and then they just feel like they're not really being valued and they're expendable, right? Everybody's replaceable, but they just kind of feel like, okay, I'm going through the motions, and would they really even know if I'm not here? So people that don't feel valued look elsewhere, because we all need a tribe. We all need to feel like we're belonging to something. We need to feel part of a bigger cause. That's ingrained in us. That's just who we are. It's deep down in the fabric of our DNA. We desire community. We desire belonging. We desire to be valued, acceptance. We really desire recognition as well. I used to fill out, you'd do these year-end surveys, and you would, you would prioritize or list in order of importance to you what you thought, like, for your job, right? Money, title, days off, employee respect, or peer respect, or I think it was recognition or respect of peers. I can't remember. But that one was always my first one, was the respect of my peers or recognition. Like I wanted that more than I wanted days off, or more than I wanted a title, even maybe more than I wanted just a little kind of piddly little $2 an hour raise, or whatever, $1,000 raise a year. I would have rather had the respect of my peers and to feel valued by my team. Now, that might have just made me weird, but statistics would tell you it didn't, because I think that's one of the top reasons. I think I did I look back a couple years ago at and I remember seeing something say people leave companies because they don't feel valued and they don't feel like they have a voice. And I would add another one, kind of anecdotally. There's, if they don't feel like they can trust their boss, or their boss has burned them, or their boss is just cruel, right, and sort of a dictator and just toxic, then of course people leave managers more than they leave companies, I would almost guess. But it kind of goes hand in hand, because if your leader is toxic, then chances are they don't value you, and chances are they haven't let you have a voice. So, I mean, those kind of are one and the same almost. But so in this value part, if you don't feel valued, right, we all want that. We want to be appreciated. We want to feel like we're coming to work, and working an 8 to 5, a 9 to 5. Some of you work nights, but if, for the sake of history and the trends, it's always been like an 8 to 5 job. If you're doing that and you're punching a clock, and there's got to be something more, right? There's got to be something more bigger. There's got to be a reason bigger than you, bigger than a paycheck that has a $12 an hour wage on it. It's got to be something bigger than a widget that you're making, or a spreadsheet that you're compiling, and, or an email that you're having to send every week. Like, it's got to be bigger than just the operational minutia that you go through every day. Right? There's got to be some soft tangibles there. There's got to be some intangibles that, like the recognition, like rewards, or, for an accomplishment. If people are accomplishing things, I think it's okay to show value. Like if you're a leader, why wouldn't you show value? You're trying to motivate people to continue doing. You want to duplicate. You want to replicate good behavior. You want to replicate what good looks like. And if somebody's accomplishing something that promotes the welfare of the team and moves the ball, moves the chains, right? Then as the organization, you want to shine some light. You want to spotlight that, showcase that. You want to draw attention to that. That's simple coaching, simple management 101 is when you see somebody do something good, positively reinforce it, and then encourage repetition. Encourage duplicating that behavior. And hopefully people are watching that, right? Because we all kind of are stimulated and motivated by the same stuff. So I see that Joe next to me did something good and he got this huge announcement and this recognition and maybe even a little, $100 gift card over here. Like, hey, I think I'm going to try to get one of those, or I'm going to have some of that for me. Like, I want to do that. Whatever he did, I'm going to do that. And so it fosters this, multiplication, and good does as good does, and good wants to copy good. So that's what number 2 is, value, because we desire recognition. We desire to feel accepted and appreciated. So I want to feel like I'm bringing value and that I am valued. So bringing value actually goes into number 3. So I told you I had 4 V's for you. V, why people quit. 4 reasons. I got 4 V's for you. Why there's turnover. And look, this applies, like I said, in your life, in your family, right? If your spouse doesn't feel like you value them or that they have a voice in major decisions, they're going to shut down. Some of them might even leave, right? So that's going to bleed. That bleeds into all areas of life, what we're talking about here. The third one is the third V is viability. They want, people want to feel like they are a viable contributor, a viable option, a viable member of the family that is the department, organization, division, department. It's you want to feel that you are bringing some level of competence, or why are you there? And that's a two-way street. Like, managers want people that are competent. Employees want to feel competent, right? And so they have a responsibility to be competent. It's not like the leader has to bring out competence in people. Now, it is our jobs as leaders to identify strengths and skill sets and put people in positions to succeed, not to fail, and also to stretch them and to challenge them and to make them better and grow and learn. But ultimately we want them to be able to utilize their gifts, or else why'd we hire them? But if we're identifying talent the right way, then we're activating and executing that talent by putting them in the positions where they will thrive. And people want to feel like they're a viable option for the team. A football team lines up, each lineman on that, the front line wants to feel like they're blocking the guy in front of them. Like they're a viable option for that position. Every player contributor wants to feel that. Your spouse wants to feel like they're a worthy option for you, like physically, emotionally, spiritually, tactically, like want to feel like we're benefiting from them just like they are from us. We kind of the yin and the yang. We complement each other well. We balance each other out. We make this house run, right? We're both viable to the greater good, workable. We're a workable unit that produces good, productive outcomes. And viability, right? Employees want to feel that. They want to feel like their skill set is in a specialized niche of the organization where they actually feel like they are having some sort of impact in forward progress and motion of that particular department or division. We all want to feel like our footsteps, our footprint is helping advance the cause, helping move the ball down the court, helping the sales needle get to that next tick on the gauge. Like we're each of us wanting to feel like we're the cog in the wheel that matters, right? And that we're viable. How do we feel that? Well, if we're competent and we're bringing that every day, and I guess I'm talking to you if you're the one considering quitting or you're considering a different career, nothing wrong with making a change. But if you're doing it for the wrong reasons and you just feel like you're stagnant or you've plateaued or your boss isn't being fair or you're not making enough money or you didn't get the promotion, like if you're just doing it out of you're going to be the kid in aisle 4 at Walmart that's throwing a temper tantrum and you're just going to leave, you're going to get your ball and go home, then that's different. That's not the right reasons. There are reasons to leave, of course. But for those of you that are in a place right now, maybe you're kicking the tires on this quitting thing in whatever area of life, maybe you started. I mean, this is fitting. This is timely for New Year's resolutions because, I don't know, in about 2 weeks, 80% of you will have quit your New Year's resolution. Actually, not anybody on this podcast is listening to this because you guys are disciplined. You guys are studs. You guys are solid. You guys are the tip of the spear. You're leading the charge. But everyone else, okay, people that I would almost bet you can count on both hands the number of people that quit their resolutions in about 2 to 3 weeks. But you're not going to do that. You're not quitting anything if you're listening. So hopefully you're not anyway. But viability, really, I mean, in all seriousness, we need to feel like our skill set is unique. It's in a specialized capacity and it's being utilized, right, to bring out the fullness of that skill set so that we are a viable option for the organization. So that's number 3. All right. There's a drum roll for our last V, virtue. Virtue. The 4th reason people leave, and I'm going to probably, the gloves are going to come off a little bit here, but you guys can take it. I'm not talking to a kindergarten class. So I'm going to bring this to you straight and real and authentic. The reason people leave a lot of times is just because they have no virtue. They have no moral compass. They have no ethics. They have no code of excellence. They just are kind of garbage human beings. They're kind of, I don't know. They're just not intestinal fortitude did not make it to them. Like they are a little soft, right? They are easily wavering. They're easily distracted from the standard that's being set in a character, in the department of character and integrity. So a lot of them lack some of those qualities that, quite frankly, good people have. Honest, solid, hardworking, dependable, reliable, competent people have. So there's probably not a statistic for this one, but this is my podcast. So I added this one because look at people and just look where we are, the state of the human race, and look how far we've kind of sunk. Okay. And I have hope because people like you that are listening to this, I have hope that Jesus isn't going to stand for this to, much longer. I have hope that people are going to have a spiritual awakening very soon because of the example that you and I are setting. I have hope that people can change. But let's be honest, there's a lot of turds out there. There's a lot of humans that are bad humans. And that's part of why they leave. Exhibit A, the people that are taking government assistance by sitting on the couch and they're perfectly healthy and capable human beings to go find a job. Am I judging those people? Of course. Yes, absolutely. I am. I'm stating facts, and I can't name names, but it probably wouldn't be that hard for me to find somebody that's milking and sponging off the government who's completely capable of finding a job. So virtue is my last one. And I think I saved the best for last. I don't know about you. You would agree because you're probably nodding your head right now. You're probably laughing because, look, I'm supposed to be this Christian guy, which I am, but I'm not supposed to judge people, which I am, judging people who have the ability but choose to be a garbage human being. And I have a problem with that. But you know what? This isn't gossip because I would tell it right to their face if someone was standing in front of me that fit that description. Sorry, that's my soapbox. But I'm going to plant my flag and die on that hill because I mean we need a moral compass in our marriages, in our families, in our workplace, in our churches, even in our social circles. Like we need to rekindle and reignite this fire of morality, okay? This work ethic element. And I mean, yeah, I can say I've probably ebbed and flowed throughout different jobs of how on fire I was and how my work ethic was impeccable at some points. And at some points it was probably at a low, but I still went and did my job, right? I didn't just quit because I didn't feel like working. So my takeaway on this one, like I said, 4 reasons people quit. I told you I had the secret sauce today, and I don't know how we fix this last one. I also told you I was going to give you solutions, and I'm going to probably fall short on this last one. Other than what I will tell you, this is how we solve it. We don't hire garbage, okay? Because the garbage takes itself out over time. So if we're identifying talent the right way, if we're qualifying people's personalities, if we're qualifying, and there's certain things you can't ask from a human resources standpoint, right? You can't in an interview ask these life questions that would determine whether someone's got integrity or whether they're an honest human or whether they're going to steal from the company or what their code of excellence is. You can't necessarily ask those subjective questions that might make people uncomfortable and might get them tied up in their feels to where they might file a complaint and then you're in trouble, right? But you can tell there's ways, like there's references, but I still don't know that I put a lot of weight in references. Someone could put somebody down that and make up I worked with them. They could have gone and mowed grass together one time and had somebody vouch for their character. I don't put a lot of weight in references always. I guess sometimes there's a place for those, but look, you sit them down, you take the interview seriously. If you're the leader, if you're the person hiring somebody, identify talent the right way is a short way to say this. If we want to find the virtue in people and we want to bring out work ethic, we want to bring out excellence, we want to bring out a moral compass and morality in people, which will, I think, resolve some of this high turnover. Because if people have ethics and integrity, they made a commitment to an organization, barring any unforeseen catastrophe or craziness going on that's personally offensive to somebody. Your job's to stay and work like you committed to doing. And you figure out a way to be good at it. Yeah, people leave companies for more money. That's okay. You got to do what's best for you and your family, but you can't be a lazy pile and showing up late or just not showing up at all and then deciding you're just going to quit because your government check is going to be just as much for doing 0% of the work. So if you're a leader that's hiring people, identify the talent, go through your checkpoints of analyzing somebody's personality, their character, their integrity, who they are, what they're about, what they represent. You can tell a lot by people if you're dialed in and the Holy Spirit's leading you and you pray before these meetings, ask God to quicken you to be wise in a moment, to have discernment about somebody. That's where we win. That's where we resolve the issue of virtue. So I gave you 4 areas where I think people quit because of these. I gave you real life application of how it translates to your personal life, right? Because look, chances are you're not marrying a spouse who's a garbage human. right? Because you didn't, you've dated them long enough, hopefully, to know what they're about, whether they have worthy morals or whether their integrity is intact. Hopefully we know that. But I mean, there's probably some social circles you run in, or even people at church, that you got to you raise an eyebrow to maybe whether or not they're virtuous or not. Are they walking in integrity? Are they really who they say they are? Are they genuine? Are they authentic? Are they grounded in their faith? Or are they just that Christian that carries a Bible that, they couldn't necessarily open to one of the Gospels if you asked? So, because they wouldn't know where to find it. Anyway, that's the virtue piece. So I gave you 4 reasons for turnover. Voice, right? People want to feel like they have a voice. They want to feel like they have input. They want to feel like you can trust them to be autonomous. Okay. The second one is value. They want to feel valued. They want to feel appreciated. They want to feel accepted, respected by their peers and their boss. Recognized for good work, rewarded for accomplishing things. Okay. Value. Third one, viability. They want to feel like they're a viable cog in the wheel, a viable option for the team to move the ball down the field, to move the chains, to move the sales needle, to progress the organization. They want to feel competent. They want to feel like they can take ownership, or that someone's willing to grant them a piece of ownership and commitment and accountability, because they are a viable option as a team member. The last one is virtue. Don't hire garbage human beings. Assess their character, assess their integrity, assess their morality on the front end. And then you're not having to take out the garbage when the garbage reveals itself to being the garbage that it usually turns out to be. The garbage will take itself out, but don't let it get to that point. Assess it, make wise decisions. If you're a leader, if you're in a social situation, assess people's character on the front end before you get too invested. I hope that helps. I mean, if you're a leader and you're hiring and you're a boss, you're a manager, hopefully this just cured your issues of turnover. If you're in a situation where you're almost at a point of quitting in whatever area of life, hopefully you're having to look at yourself in the mirror and you're checking the boxes on these 4 V's that are going to help you be what? Victorious. With that, be blessed.
Make your escape.